Hello, YouTube world. I hope this is not too much to ask or give input. I'm just gonna pretty much just let her rip today. Um, I've been just going on a rampage a few minutes, or maybe almost an hour, 35 minutes, about just how society has been with my boyfriend, and I was telling him how just messed up people are. And I just hope I get no negative comment. I'm just going to give you uh, my views on how messed up society is. Um, where to start? There's just so much in society that we look at and that I look into. Just naturally, how I am as a person. Family is one of the things that are very important to me. And I'm going to talk a little bit about family. Just as a whole, I might do a whole series. I don't know, I'm going crazy. I'm just on these rant pages. I just gotta talk. I just gotta love it. I don't care what people think. But to an extent, that's wrong. One of the things that I believe is messed up in families. I don't hate me for this, but I don't honestly have a family of my own, like children and stuff. So just look at it through the eyes of someone who has looked in society, looked at families, and like I have a family of my own, but not my own kids. And then I've seen other families and how they do things different than my family. First off, I would say that we all have different backgrounds. We all have different things that set us off in families and different methods. And I'm not really going to talk much about the children because I don't have children. I'm just a whole aspect of the family in general. Um, and then give my opinion and give what I see in society. Okay, what year is it? It is 2017. Um, Pretty much, I feel like we live in a very, very cruel, hateful, despiteful, sorry if that's a little bit different of a word, kind of society and families. We're very hateful, we're very selfish. Um, and that's pretty much where we live in. Um, I've seen both worlds on the dysfunctional type of family setting, and I've seen in my own family, and I love my family. I love the values I have learned and the morals I have learned. And like for me, this is just an outsider looking in. I have a Christian family, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm very grateful that I had that growing up and I didn't have the other side of dysfunctional. Um, but just from my viewpoint and my opinion, and I hope I don't get any slash back or blackmail for this, but one thing I love about my family is the fact that we were we grew up feeling like we always went to church. I want to say we always read a Bible. I mean, we talked about things. And one thing I loved about my family that I will continue on is the fact that we always were open. We always were talking about whatever bothering us. There were at times we would bottle things up. My sisters mentioned, therefore, at times I would bottle things, but it was not healthy. So I grew up in a family where we always shared things, whether it's good or bad. We'd had moments where we cried, and we had trials and tribulations and many, many hard battles we had to face as a family. Um, but all through it, I've learned so many things. I've learned that, yes, we can be very judgmental. My family were we can be very harsh with our words at times, and I picked up from that, and that's not a bad thing to necessarily be harsh if you're just judgmental. Um, I guess that's a bad side that I picked up from my family is judgmental at times. But what I've grown in the past year or so, I've learned so many valuable lessons of the dysfunctional part. And that started when I first got married. Um, I was married to a man with many issues. Um, and that I married my ex-husband in 2012, and that started dysfunctional. And I seen like I went to church, picked up kids from bus route to church and things like that, and take them to church. But that pretty much started the dysfunctional part that I seen out in the world. And it's good to do that. It honestly is. And I do at times miss going out and picking kids up from church. Because there's one thing living in your world and then living outside of your world. And then I divorced my husband because of just issues, things in our marriage. And then, this is really hard to talk about. A year I've experienced people and difficult situations I've had encounter with people, and how dysfunctional people are. And when I start talking about this, I don't want people to look at it as I'm not necessarily judging them, or I'm necessarily gossiping. I mean, in some form it could be gossip or taken that way, but I'm just explaining my viewpoint on a dysfunctional family. And when I mean that, there's just so much I could talk about this. In my viewpoint, as I go from my family into a dysfunctional family, is the fact no communication. I mean, I even experienced it a little bit with my ex-husband. It got bad to the point where he would not want to talk in person. He would want to talk on the phone. And if I can mention one thing not too long drastic about a dysfunctional family, a lot of what they go through is the fact